At the DIY Home Center outlet, get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Today will be mostly sunny, though there will be a shower or thunderstorm in some spots. High today, 88 to 90. For tonight, turning out to be clear to partly cloudy, low 70 to 74. For tomorrow, sun and clouds throughout the day with a shower or thunderstorm around in the afternoon. Thursday's high, 84 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Please join me in the morning at 8:35 a.m. when my guest will be Dr. Adam Rubenstein, renowned Miami plastic surgeon. We will be discussing male makeover. Dr. Rubenstein is also a patient advocate and is passionate about sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly about plastic surgery practices. So be sure to tune in tomorrow at 8:35 a.m. It's news you can use from Dr. Rubenstein and your friends here at WOCA The Source.
Looking for fun and educational online activities for children? Then check out Teaching Tuesdays, the Appleton Museum of Art's free weekly art project video series. These educational videos feature art projects that can easily be done from home with basic art supplies and materials. A new video is posted each week at 10 a.m. on the Appleton's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. For more information, visit appletonmuseum.org.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
My son was 20 years old when he was prescribed opioid. It took him 5 days to get addicted. I'm not supposed to be the one to go get his suit and tie and pick which sneakers that I'm going to bury him in. My son overdosed at the age of 22 years old.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RX awareness.
Brought to you by the Department of Health in Marion County and Ocala Fire Rescue.
WOCA. Ocala.
Listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. So we're broadcasting to you live from the Paddock Mall, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, 24 minutes before the top of the 9 o'clock hour. And on the phone, we haven't heard from him in a while, but it's glad to have him back here. Dr. Adam Rubenstein, interview we got here with Dr. Adam Rubenstein, a board-certified, award-winning plastic surgeon, the Chief of Plastic Surgery and Vice Chief of the Department of Surgery for Jackson North Medical Center in Miami. Good morning, Doctor. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. As, boy, a lot's happened since we last had you on the air amidst a tumultuous spring. As we know, everything that was going on with COVID-19, and then what came with that was the obviously the cancellation of elective surgeries, but now that is back in full swing. And to have you on today to talk a little bit about, we've been mentioning in our ad with you, was the idea of the male makeover package. Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, we all know about mommy makeovers, and it's easy to understand. You know, moms having children, bodies changing, and wanting to tune things up afterwards. But people don't often think about the dads. Dads' lives change too after becoming dads, and things. You don't get to the gym as much. You're not really thinking about yourself as much. You've got children to worry about now. And where there are mommy makeovers, now we call these daddy do-overs. And there's a...
You guys got away with words, my friend.
Sure, why not? Why not? These daddy do-overs, they're really any combination of procedures for dads just trying to get things back in order.
Gotcha. And, with that, as the male plastic surgery, as to mention, is a little bit more on the rise, too. And that's where the more of this mentioning comes from, is that there's actually been more of an interest in, like they said, these daddy do-overs.
Well, in general, plastic surgery has become more mainstream, and more people thinking about doing it. It's more accessible. And there's new techniques coming out all the time, making things easier to do with less downtime and in many cases more affordable. So, with Father's Day around the corner, I think it's a good time to be thinking about daddy do-overs.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with that, as you mentioned, Dr. Adam Rubenstein specializes in whole-body surgical and non-surgical cosmetic treatments for both the men and women, as we were just talking a little bit more of the of men, now that we're coming up on something that enlightens that with Father's Day, like you mentioned. And describe for us some of the latest innovations and procedures that are there to help the men, those daddy do-overs, if you will.
I think the most common thing for men coming in to tune up their appearance is liposuction. And one of the things, like I said, you don't get to the gym as much, you're not taking care of yourself, and, you might put on a little bit of extra baggage you want to get rid of. So liposuction is probably the number one treatment for men. But also very popular, that comes along with maybe a little bit of weight gain, is worrying about your neck. One of the areas that guys will not like is that area right under the chin. Mm-hmm. And that's an area that as you gain weight, that can get a little thick. It can start to hang a little bit as we get older. And there's lots of ways to treat that. And one of the most exciting procedures that we're doing for the neck, for both men and women, is something called Elevate, which is a real simple procedure done under local anesthesia that can take the little bit of hanging tissue and give it support with a simple procedure under local, and give that definition back to your neck that you might have lost.
Oh, gotcha. Interesting. Now, also, too, I want to mention, as we got time here, that you're also a patient advocate and are passionate about sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly about common plastic surgery practices. And you're one of the ones there trying to help navigate this world of plastic surgery effectively and safely. And for those listeners out there, talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I do put a lot of effort into making sure people are educated. And it's easy to find yourself in a situation that is less than ideal if you don't do good diligence. You think about having a procedure done, and you see some cosmetic surgery clinic, and you go and have a consultation, you may very well unwittingly be looking for the services or considering the services of someone who's actually an emergency room doctor or a family doctor that decided it would be more lucrative to go into cosmetic procedures instead of doing what they're actually trained to do. So you really, if you're considering having anything done, you ought to really make sure you do your homework and be certain that you're seeing a doctor who's actually trained in plastic surgery. And there's really only one source for board certification in plastic surgery, and that's the American Board of Plastic Surgery. So if you're thinking about having anything done, make sure your doctor is board certified by that board, the American Board of Plastic Surgery. That's just number one. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was I was made aware when I was discussing a little bit about this stuff earlier in the year, as you and I were talking. Somebody pointed out a show that touches base on a lot of these so-called issues with going to, like you said, the non-board certified, if you will. I think the show's called Botched. and it's all about everything you're preaching a little bit about. Basically, it's a show where these folks have gone somewhere else, and like you said, didn't go to somebody or look at the right ways to go, and have had crazy issues with what they wanted to have as far as work done, and then they end up going to I think 2 board-certified doctors who end up fixing a lot of the huge mistakes that they made trying to cut corners and trying to save dollars.
Yeah, it's a common problem we see. In South Florida, there's a lot of people that have easy access to Central and South America, especially in Miami. And so we'll see a lot of patients that have gone out of the country and come back, then have problems. I'm actually one of the few doctors that's willing to take on those cases. A lot of doctors feel like they didn't create the problem, and fixing them is not easy.
Right.
And you're accepting, a lot of headache in trying to fix something that you didn't create. You may not be familiar with exactly what technique was used and how things were done, and you're walking in sort of a minefield. Yeah. And it's something that I don't mind doing. I feel that we have an obligation to try and help when we can, and so I see a lot of patients for corrective surgery. But the best thing is to avoid being one of those patients.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who are listening, tuning in, we're talking with Dr. Adam Rubenstein, a board-certified and award-winning plastic surgeon, the chief of plastic surgery and vice chief of the Department of Surgery for Jackson North Medical Center in Miami, Florida. As we were just discussing a little bit more, as we mentioned that the ASPS reveals that since 2000, there have been a 29% increase in the idea of men seeking out plastic surgery, as we touched on that a little bit, and the idea of the male makeover, the daddy do-over, and at the same time just talking about some of the other ideas behind maybe going with Dr. Rubenstein. For more information, Doctor, where can they find it?
Well, of course, you can always call the office at 305-792-7575. You can also get a lot of good information in my social media. It's at Dr. Rubenstein. It's Dr. Rubenstein, Rubinstein, in Instagram and Snapchat. We're on Facebook. You can find me. And, of course, my website's got a multitude of information that you can pour through and learn a lot about different procedures you might be thinking about. And that's just www.dr-rubenstein.com. The simple thing is give us a call and come for a consultation. We have no fees for consultations, and you can do that just by calling the office. Again, it's 305-792-7575.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Doctor, as we're just out of time here. I appreciate it, and it's good to hear from you again. It's like I said, world pandemic and everything else that went along. It's good to hear you, and glad to have you.
Happy to be here and look forward to our next chance.
You got it. Appreciate it. WOCA, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking with, the Wealth Wednesdays. We still got it. WOCA, back after this.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
WOCA.
Here's a perfect way to celebrate Father's Day. Make it a plant or a tree from Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Start by checking out this week's big color ad. This week, you can find out all about the Dad's Day Tree Sale. Buy one quality tree for Dad, any size, any price, and get a second one for yourself at half price. Check out their huge selection. Prices start as low as $19.99 for trees up to 6 feet tall and go